So today we want to go ahead and discuss combining integers. All right. So combining integers refers to adding and subtracting, but I want to start to kind of get your attention more focused on adding positives and adding negatives versus adding and subtracting. So instead of subtraction now, we're going to think of subtraction as the addition of negatives. Okay. So with that being said, one of the rules for adding integers is same signs you add. Okay, that's the first rule. Same signs you add, always keep the sign of the larger number. So when you look at this first one here, when you look at A, that says 15 plus 5. Both of them are positive, so that's going to equal a positive 20. Okay. The next one, B. B says negative 4 plus negative 14. Well, same signs you add. Both the signs are negative, so 14 and 4 make 18. Keep the sign of the larger number all the time, so our final answer is going to be negative 18. All right. And this last one, I know right now it looks, what you're used to seeing is a minus or saying that that's subtraction, but really you're adding negative. So that says negative 9 minus 90. But really, when we take a look at this, not only is the 9 negative, but the 90 is also negative. Okay? So those signs are the same. We add those, and our final answer here would just be negative 99. Okay? So negative 9 minus 90 for C is negative 99. All right, so same signs you add. What about when the signs are different? Well, different signs, that's when you subtract. And you subtract the way that you're normally used to subtracting, the bigger number minus the smaller number. So let's take a look at what that looks like. Let's look at D. D says negative 3 plus 7. Well, that's a negative 3 and a positive 7, so we subtract. And when we subtract, we're going to get 4. And we got to keep the sign of the larger number. The larger number is 7. The sign of it is positive, so this would be a positive 4. Okay? Let's take a look at E. E says positive 8 minus 15. Well, really, we're looking at a positive 8 and a negative 15, right? So with that being said, we're going to subtract 15 minus 8 is 7. But the 15 is the larger number, and the 15 is negative, so that's going to be negative 7. All right? And let's take a look at F. F says 10 minus 4. Well, the 10 is positive, the 4 is negative. When you subtract, that becomes 6, and since the 10 is the bigger number and it's positive, our final answer is going to just remain positive 6. Okay? All right. So, for combining integers or adding integers, when the signs are the same, you add and you keep the sign of the larger number. When the signs are different, you subtract and you keep the sign of the larger number. So no matter what, when you're adding, quote unquote, subtracting integers, you always keep the sign of the larger number. Now, what if you actually do see a problem where it said, and this is what we're going to call subtracting negatives is the same as adding positives. So let's take a look at what that means. Let's look at A. A says 7 minus negative 5. Well, subtracting a negative 5 is the same as adding positive 5. So I could rewrite this to say 7 plus 5, which makes 12. Let's look at B. B says negative 3 minus negative 9. Well, subtracting a negative number is adding a positive. So this is really negative 3 plus 9. And since these are different signs, so we subtract, right? That's what we should be doing, subtracting. Different signs, subtract. So that's going to make this positive 6 because the bigger number is positive. And up here we could have called these same signs, and same signs you add. All right, let's take a look at C. C says negative 10 minus negative 2. Well, minus negative 2 is really the same as adding positive 2. So that's negative 10 plus 2. We have, once again, different signs. So when the signs are different, you subtract. And 10 minus 2 is 8. The 10 is larger. And so that means that our final answer has to be negative 8. Okay? So once again, that subtracting negatives is the same as adding positives. Okay, let's go ahead and do a little mixed review for combining integers and just going over those. So number 1, we have 7 plus 2. The 7 is a positive, the 2 is a positive, so these are same signs, which means we add, and that's going to make positive 9. We always keep the sign of the larger number. All right, number 2, we have 5 minus 1. Excuse me. Well, here we have different signs, right? Different signs. Let's take a look. We have a positive 5 and we have a negative 1. Okay, so we subtract, and when we subtract, 5 minus 1 is 4, and the 5 is the largest one, so it's going to be positive 4. All right, let's take a look at number 3. Positive 4 plus negative 3. So we have a positive 4, we have a negative 3, so these will be considered different signs, and with different signs we know to subtract. And when we subtract, that becomes positive 1, and the 1 is positive because the 4 is the largest number. Okay, remember, we always keep the sign of the larger number. Number 4, we have negative 13 plus 6, so we have a negative 13, we have a positive 6. Once again, these are different signs. Different signs mean to subtract. So when we subtract 13 and 6, that makes 7. But we got to always keep the sign of the larger number. The 13 is the largest number. It's negative, so our final answer is negative 7. Let's take a look at number 5. For number 5, we have double negatives. So the first thing we're going to have to do is rewrite that. We have our double negatives right here. And we know that that really, instead of saying 7 minus negative 2, that's really like saying 7 plus 2. Once again, we have same signs. So that means we add, and 7 plus 2 makes positive 9. Number 6, negative 5 minus 1. So we have here a negative 5. We also have a negative 1. So we have same signs. Same signs mean to add. 5 and 1 makes 6, and since they're both negative, our final answer is going to be negative 6. All right, number 7, negative 4 plus negative 3. Well, if you say it properly, we already know that we have same signs again, same signs, so we add. 3 and 4 make 7, and both of these are negative, so our answer is going to be negative 7. You always keep the sign of the bigger number. And number 8, we have negative 13 minus negative 6. We know subtracting the negative is the same as adding a positive, so we want to rewrite that to say negative 13 plus 6. And just like from before, these are different signs, and with different signs we have to subtract. And when we subtract, we get 7, but our final answer has to be negative 7 because the bigger number is negative, right? The negative 13, the positive 6. So our final answer would have been negative 7. And that will conclude our mixed review and our lesson on integers and combining integers.